Hi, Professor. I'm Brett, the group leader, and our company is Costco, and here is our presentation. Our presentation is on how Costco's supply chain was affected throughout the pandemic. Sam will discuss how Costco did before the pandemic and the effects COVID had on Costco. Donald will present how Costco responded to the new challenges put in place due to the pandemic and how they were able to keep everyone safe along the way. Andrew will present the long-term impacts COVID-19 will have on the company.
The revenue of 152 billion with the growth rate of 6.3. It provides services to pharmacies, gas station, food. 87% of its sales come from U.S. and Canada. Warehouses, some other warehouses include Japan, South Korea, China, France, Mexico, Spain, Taiwan. It offers memberships of $60 a year to customers and e-commerce services that are available in U.S., Canada, UK, Mexico, and Japan. There are about 785 warehouses in the U.S. and 11 in other countries. They limit the number of available stock. Higher volumes drive the higher profit. They want to improve its fulfillment speed and minimize shipping costs. It sells merchandise in large volumes and stocking a limited number of products, average of 3,700 at its warehouses. Employee requirement at stores is lower because of self-service models. Most merchandise ships directly from manufacturers reroutes to Costco's warehouses. This minimizes the need to build extensive storage facilities, which reduces capital expenditure requirements. The company spends about $2 billion in 2014 and then $3 billion in 2019. After COVID, they placed limit on the number of items a customer can purchase. The increased demand results in out of stock, struggling with the impacts of sourcing from China. They have higher demand for e-commerce services. They're running out of supplies, but higher demand means higher profit. They've been relying on air freight. Suppliers are working overtime to produce and ship to retailer. A limited menu is available, only available for takeout. Same store sales for the quarter increased 4.8 and e-commerce sales jumped 64.5. In September, the revenue was 167 billion. Revenue of 37.27 billion beat analysts' expectation of 37.13, according to CNBC. And these are my works cited.
So Costco's response to the disruption of their supply chain due to COVID-19 was kind of similar to many other retailers' responses in that they first limited the quantity of certain items that people could buy. So items that were high in demand, such as paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning supplies, Lysol wipes, hand sanitizer, stuff of that nature. A lot of retailers and Costco as well was putting a restriction. Oh, customers can only buy one of them, or one per, two per customer, two per family. So that was one of the first things they did. They also faced increased air freight costs during this time. So shipping more stuff overseas and whatnot. Obviously they're going to incur more costs because of that. It was a challenge for them, especially I read a bunch of different articles about this, and the hardest time for Costco was early March when everything first started to, everybody first really started to panic. So that was hard for them in early March. It was a challenge for them to keep their supply chain going and to keep their shelves stocked. So what they had to do was reach out to existing suppliers and see what they could get from them if they had anything left, try to have people working overtime to produce more. And also at the same time, they were trying to find new suppliers and new sources of where they can obtain these things that people needed. So that, and then after a few months, it took them a few months to get their supply chain back to normal. And I think it's still not fully back to 100% the way it was before this happened, but they were able to work with their suppliers and get things at a much better spot than they were in March compared to now, even though they may still have some work to do there. And then the next thing that we'll be talking about is the safety throughout the new supply chain. So with all of these new things going on at Costco, and now they have to follow local regulations. So wherever they are, if face masks are required in most places, or they should be at least. So face masks, everybody must be wearing a face mask when they go into a Costco warehouse. They have hand sanitizer throughout the warehouses for customers to use and also for sale. So stuff like that, social distancing, they try to keep a limit on the number of people that are allowed in the store at once, according to local guidelines again, and, making sure that people try to keep that 6 feet distance between them at all times. Costco also suspended some of its services temporarily while all of this is going on to try to limit the spread and to try to make their warehouses, as safe a place as possible as they can for their guests.
Due to COVID-19, there is an increase in difficulty to appropriately manage stock. At any given moment, a potential 19 spike could occur and have many consumers panic buy, potentially wiping out any inventory. COVID-19 slowed down inventory coming in from around the world by ship. Costco had to supplement the supply chain with air freight. Going forward, Costco will need to continue to evaluate whether air freight is needed or not to maintain some level of stock on hand.